And this is our analysis and the result of selection of calibration test site in Australia. The first one is Central Desert. This is the photo and spectra. And it has such many advantages, like it's a desert, has high reflectance, and it has flat spectrum, high probability of cloud-free days, and less effect of human activities, far from the sea, low rainfall, and low aerosol loading, and it's large enough. But it also has some disadvantages, like it's hard to access. Actually, it has 700 kilometers to go there in about 2 days, and it also has some vegetation. It's not homogeneous, and temporal uniformity is not good, and few instruments can be available there. So we will say we don't choose this site because it's hard to access. It's the biggest reason. And the second site is called Esperance. This is the Google map and its photo. It has some advantages like high reflectance, easy to access, and no vegetation there. But it also has a lot of disadvantages, like it's so small. It's about 20 meter width there, so it's not big enough to do the calibration. And it's also not good, not homogeneous. Temporal uniformity is not good, and not flat spectrum. Higher rainfall probabilities, and the aerosol loading is a little bit big, high probability of cloud days, and it has some effect of human activities, and it's also near the sea. So we won't choose this area. The biggest reason is it's too small. The third place is called Lake Lefroy, and it has a lot of advantages, like high reflectance, no vegetation, it's homogeneous, it has flat spectrum, few rainfall, low aerosol loading, less probability of cloud days, and it's far from the sea. It's large enough and has few effect of human activities. It also has two disadvantages, like its temporal uniformity is not so good, and it's not easier to access. And we have, it has a little bit disadvantages, but we also want to choose this quite good site. And we have some discussion in the end, we will see. The fourth place is Pinnacles Desert. It has high reflectance, flat spectrum, few effect of human activities, and it's easy to access, and its aerosol loading is quite thin. The disadvantages it's near to sea, has some dunes, so not flat, and higher probabilities to have rainfall and cloud days. It also has some vegetation, but to sum up, this is also a good place to do the calibration. We have a conclusion for the third place, Lake Lefroy. For most satellites, we think it's a quite good choice to do calibration. However, for some Chinese satellites, it has quite high DN values, so it might be saturated sometimes. And for the fourth place, Pinnacle Desert is more adaptable for Chinese satellites as collaboration site. So our team chose these two sites, and the first site is more adaptable for, general satellites. The second one for Chinese satellites. Okay, thank you.
Very, very good. Very impressed. You guys got a big, what's the word? Big thing to follow. So, let me choose. Number 1.
We don't have a presentation. Good afternoon. I'm Xu Longshi from Raleigh, and my team Liu Mingbo also from Raleigh, and Ran Jiao from Xiamen Institute of Meteorology. And looking through this data from Cindy and the photons per meter, we decide our choice is Pinnacle Desert, and you said it's no right or wrong answer, but it could have a good or not that good answer. So looking at this central desert, is too far away from the city, and the road is not that good. Also, it has a sparse vegetation program, and also it's if you look at the temperature, it's too high. It could be very hot, but its size is very big. It's a very big. Could be a very big test site. It's may useful for low spatial resolution satellites. And if we look at this Bay Valley, it's very, very beautiful. It's for me, I could choose that for sightseeing. And but if you look at the climate data, it has most rainfall of this fall test site choice, and it also has most cloud days of this fall test site. So that could be a problem. And also there are many you need four-wheel driving to go inside this site, and that could be somehow dangerous to access. And it also has coast vegetation, and that may cause some problem. So let's say this Lake Broye, it looks perfect, except if you look at the spectra, it's a small band. It's lower than 0.2, and it's not that good for satellites with small bands. So, except that, it could be a bad choice for me. But because of that, we have to abandon that. So our choice is Pinnacle Desert. This Pinnacle Desert is the nearest site with the Perth. And the road looks good. Size is middle size, 2 kilometers and 5 kilometers width. The spectra is it's high and flat in VIR and small range. Set. So. That's all. So for our team, the better choice, Pinnacle Desert. And if we are looking for a VNR satellite calibration, we could use this Lake Roy. If we are looking for low spatial resolution satellite validate, I think our choice could be Central Desert site. And if we are looking for a sightseeing place, could be this really big.
Thank you. You guys are doing exceptionally well. I'm actually really impressed. So,
I
number
was
3.
expecting it. This is what we expected, so this is what it is.
Oh, sorry. So I did 3 already. 1. Sorry, I'm sorry. So number 2.
Okay. Can you hear me on the video if I stand over here? It's got to be a little different, right? So, I'm from Group 2. My name is Michael. I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Michigan. I'd like to thank my group members. We have a very short presentation, but we looked at a number of factors. Yeah, you know. There we go. A number of factors. We put them into a table and kind of looked at a variety of things. So, ranging from some characteristics from the spectral data, so both in terms of looking at a lot of the spectral data over the visible and parts of the IR bands, how the different readings, how well grouped together were they? In other words, how stable were the measurements? But then also too, the magnitude of the reflectance. Those are important. We noted those there. We looked at the size of the different sites, the elevation, right? So we didn't talk about aerosols directly, but we did talk about elevation, higher being better in this regard. We looked at the surrounding environment, rainfall, that's millimeters per year, sun days, accessibility, etc. I'm not going to read the slide, you can all read. What I will note, though, is that each of the sites offered different advantages, be it something as being very close to population center or really homogeneous areas, etc., etc. Looking across a variety of things, now the thing works, we ended up also selecting the Pinnacle Desert as well. Beyond the characteristics listed here, we also looked at the safety in the site, as well as communication availability and resource availability. Looking back here at the distance, didn't make it on the thing. Fantastic. Accessibility, yeah, there we go. There. You can see, in case something does happen, someone needs medical attention, also supplies like water going to the central desert could be somewhat problematic potentially. So that was something we looked at as well, which is if you want to have a large number of folks coming out to the site. Other issues too that we discussed were the surrounding environment, and while the bay looked gorgeous, and I would agree, certainly a tourist destination. The seaside with, I would assume, some humidity were less than ideal in this case. While Pinnacles does have small, short vegetation, we did look over the photos from different months and saw that it remained relatively steady. Another piece, too, was the security of the site. In particular at Lake Lefroy with land sailing, with the bay being a tourist destination, those kind of went out for us in that regard. We want to be able to have a secure site. While the Central Desert was attractive in this regard, having cattle there that could trample and do other things, that would certainly be a factor to consider. And while Pinnacle certainly might have some animals nearby, it was a full kilometer away from the tourist part of a national park, and we found that to be a significant plus. All of the sites, for the most part, had access issues having to deal with either national park, those that are national park, aboriginal issues, etc., etc. So we didn't really talk about those, but I would say they're relatively equivalent from the information that was presented. So, which is one reason we didn't talk about it, no real difference. So, with that said, unless there are questions, we'll pick Pinnacles again. Thank you.
I think you might have your rainfall swap around though. I think your rainfall for Pinnacles actually is for Esperance, and the Esperance rainfall is for Pinnacles. But that's okay. But that was very, very good too.
Thank you. Check that.
Last one. Big Bill. Or Raylan.
Hey, no. It was a team effort. I was just mapping these.
I didn't prepare the PowerPoint at first. Thanks to Cindy, I have time to. Present group board is give our conclusion, and thanks to my 2 group members and 2 supervisors. And this is the list Cindy gave us, and this is recommend site characteristics, and we compared every characteristics between 4 sites, and we also chose the second Pinnacle Desert as our test site. First, we check their reflectance curves, and it's relatively flat. And from the slides Cindy gave us, and in the 10 years temporal means of the reflectance in linear area, it's very flat, and you can see in this area is in most areas the reflectance is larger than 30, and in the square area, region of the band, the reflectance is larger than 40, and in these 2 pictures we can see the reflectance is uniformity, and that is suitable to calibrate. And also we can see that it's very easy to access, and it's far enough to a large city, and it's not affected by the city's lights and aerosol and atmosphere. And the landform size is 2 by 5 kilometers, is large enough to calibrate the future satellite, which the spatial resolution is about 30 meters. And its communications and permission is good, and the security is not a problem. But the thing is, there has some little plants in the area. It's very sparse, and the DM is not bad, but and the evaluation is about 8 meters. But the disadvantage of this desert is like the former group told us that the
humidity is not very low. It's not very dry, and the clarity is not very. The clarity is relatively small. And so comprehensively, we chose the second test site as is our choice. Thank you.